Hey everyone, welcome to Hungover podcast with your hosts Ivan and
Julien. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Thank you for welcoming me as well, because I'm included in everyone. I'm super excited to get into our reactions for E3. I know everyone means me too, right? I'm here.
Yes. Hashtag me too, man. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Just a joke. Just a joke. Jesus Christ. No one can take a joke. Come on.
In any case, if you would like to weigh in on what we're discussing today in terms of E3 roundup, make sure to go to iTunes, leave a review about this podcast or what we're talking about. You can mark down your comments on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
We're also on Google Play and SoundCloud.
That's
all
where we are.
forms of interaction, tuning in, available, or you could just live talk to us on Sundays at twitch.tv/jujubesgood as we do this live on Twitch now.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I like to interact with the chat, and I think it adds to conversation. So if you guys want to help us out with that, that'd be great. But if not, you can just download it at your convenience in a lame fashion, I guess. Ivan,
That's what I do.
Well, yeah, I know. Ivan, thanks so much for at least downloading the podcast. That really adds to it like doubles our numbers if you download it because I download it, so that's really great. Ivan, thanks for doing this podcast with me, but we start our podcast out every single week by asking each other what media have you been consuming, and what did you drink last night?
So, I, as always, only play the one video game.
Well, what do you
want?
want?
The Witness.
He played The Witness again.
I'm struggling through all the puzzles. It's quite difficult, but I'm having a good time. I check in every once in a while. I actually did a little bit of Venture Capitalist. I played The Last of Us last night.
Venture Capitalist? Did you play that on your PS4?
Of course.
Okay, yeah, because you're still trying to get that platinum it's not a platinum
trophy.
Just 100% trophy.
It had been like a month since I last checked in, so everything was skyrocketing. And so what else is up? I downloaded but have not played Gears of War 4, and I started State of Decay 2. Look at that. I am catching up.
You
with
still
the
have
world.
a Xbox Game Pass?
I do.
Good. Well, good on you. You just got Gears of War for... No, wait, that's not how it works, is it? No, that would be games with gold. But you gotten Gears of War 4, getting ready for a certain game that's coming out in the future that we'll talk about later on in the podcast. I'm excited to hear that. Did you catch up on any of the World Cup?
I have watched like over 50% of the games. I definitely caught the ones that I wanted to see the most, except for Russia, Saudi Arabia, because I was working that day. But yeah. I saw Spain, Portugal. I saw Mexico, Germany from earlier today as the two big ones that I really wanted to see. I caught the highlights of the France-Australia game, which was a weird one. So they're doing this weird thing in this World Cup where they can have reviews of the calls.
Wait, they can do that? Oh.
Yeah, I think it's making soccer worse.
Yeah, that's American influence on soccer, I would assume. Or do you think that, I mean, I guess FIFA's a global company, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be...
Part of soccer is like the refs, if they make a mistake,
it's part of the
happens,
game. Yeah.
You know? I think it makes the game less fluid to have this kind of
right.
review. So, I don't know. I prefer, if there's a mistake, there's a mistake. It happens. Not every game is perfect. That's part of what makes the sport beautiful. We're trying to integrate humanness into our sport. I mean, humans created it, therefore it's not going to be perfect. In any case, it was used for, let's say, the France game. They used it to review a few goals. They have to review goals now every time. So we have goal line technology, but they also have to review goals before.
What is there to review? That's stupid. Okay.
For like fouls that happen right
and
before
offsides.
The goal or whatever.
Offsides is fine, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm just saying.
Soccer.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I definitely see the side of these stupid soccer players that are throwing themselves on the ground because they got touched for a second, just to get the foul, and then they screw up the set piece.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. That's part of soccer. You're right. It's true. It's part of soccer, and it's here to stay. No, I definitely just caught the Mexico and Germany match. I thought that was a really great game. I'm surprised the Mexican team is still standing because of all the running they did on counterattack. It's crazy. But that's how they got their goal, on these counterattack plays, which is where the Germany was totally not ready to defend against them. So I think that was a underestimation of the Mexican team. Yeah, thank you. That's me. Look, now I see why he said it, right? No, definitely just an underestimation of the Mexican players. I thought it was a great game, though. I had a lot of fun watching it.
I'm enjoying this World Cup. It's definitely brought some. That Spain-Portugal game is a game for the ages, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good game, and Ronaldo got his hat trick, so good for him. I also caught a movie this week.
Nice.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
I went to Movie Tavern to watch Hereditary.
Movie Town. Okay, what is that?
Movie Tavern is kind of like the Alamo Drafthouse, but 200% markup. So a date night for two people was $100.
Why is it so much more expensive?
I don't know. That was one drink each. That was an appetizer.
You said how much?
2 entrees and the movie tickets, of which one was paid for by Movie Pass, because was $100.
Damn, man, that is
I got
great night.
REKT, wrecked.
Why did you go there? Because it was the only place showing the movie?
No, because we wanted dinner and the movie at the same time. It was after a struggle through D&D. It was kind of a boring experience this week because there were 18 people, and there are 2 more that are threatening to join, so this could be up to 20 people.
Yeah.
So that won't be fun.
Well, I'll tell you can easily spend $100 at a restaurant alone, so at least you got to see a movie. How was the food?
If the food was better, I would have been happier. But
okay,
the food wasn't great, and they
good.
brought me the wrong drink.
Well, actually, that's happened at Alamo Drafthouse here for my girlfriend Nikki. She ordered a beer. She ordered a Brooklyn, and they brought her a Manhattan, which is a funny mix-up, but also
really, really
completely wrong. But anyways, I watched
The Hereditary was a pretty scary movie.
How was that?
It's pretty interesting.
It's scary, you said?
Yeah.
Nice.
The pacing is a little off, but it's worth watching, I think. It's pretty interesting as far as scary movies go. So,
okay.
Thumbs up to Hereditary.
Well, cool. On my side of things, let's see, what did I do? I didn't watch any movies. I still have yet to watch. What is the movie we need to watch for Movie Club?
That's Undercover.
So Undercover. Okay. The Miley Cyrus classic.
Yes.
I didn't actually get to play a lot of video games this week. I did play, we played Overwatch last night and went on a losing streak, and then I switched accounts and we went on a winning streak. So that was cool. Thanks for playing with me, Ivan. I'm sorry I was super tilted halfway through.
I feel like you're still tilted.
Like
you started the
podcast
tilted.
I'm sorry about that, everyone. But those kids were the worst. The absolute bottom of the barrel scum that needs to be burned. Fuck those kids. Stop playing video games and get off the internet. That's all I have to say to them.
Julian's into get off my lawn mode.
Get
early
off
on
my
in the podcast,
server.
Everyone.
Stop playing on my server. God damn, that's the new get off my lawn. But anyways, I played some Overwatch, but I think the coolest thing I got to play this week, even though I said I didn't play a lot of video games, was, because I always play a lot, was the Project Octopath Traveler new demo. They released a new demo on the Nintendo eShop, so it's free to play. Basically, it's coming out in July 13th. We'll talk about that later. But the demo is essentially you can play the first chapter and move on to another person's. There are 8 characters in the game, and move on to another person's first chapter, and then all that you can play for 3 hours, and the save data transfers over to the game. So, I think a lot more developers need to put out demos like this or at least RPG developers, if they're going to put out a
3
demo.
hours is nothing compared to how much the game has to offer.
I know.
I assume. So I think it's actually a pretty decent taste of what's to come.
Absolutely. And if you were to have put in 3 hours to a demo, which not many demos are that long, but if you were to have done that, it would really suck to have to restart again once the game came out. So I think this is a really great demo. And even if you're not going to get this game, I think you should pick it up because it's free. And there's a lot of content there that's really awesome. I'm super excited for this game. And
I'm excited for it too. It's the coolest looking Switch game that I've seen so far because it's got that like 2D, 3D blend.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's exclusive, surprisingly. I hope they bring this to PC at least, because I'd like for more people to play it. I'm excited for Switch exclusives, don't get me wrong. But honestly, if we can make the games for at least PC, that would be really cool.
Wow. Yeah. What are you, a Nintendo guy?
Yes, I am.
Nintendo exclusives?
I literally just said not. I didn't want that. Okay. Anyways, I watched more
Ivan is poking the bear.
I watched more Dragon Ball Z, watched the World Cup, and of course, we watched E3.
A whole lot of
E3. You can check out our live reactions to the conferences that we're able to watch live on our YouTube channel. I think they sum up what we're going to sum up in the podcast, but the podcast for the people who don't have the time. So, Ivan,
yes.
Do you want to just jump right in?
Let's get jiggy with it.
All right, let's start with do you want to just go in order of conferences, or do you want to do some discuss, or do you want to go overall? I like overall first, and then we can discuss the individual conferences, or at least the interesting ones.
The general gist of the internet is there's always a winner and loser, no matter what it is, even if it's something that can't have a winner or loser.
Right.
So who won E3 to you?
To me, I feel like, honestly, I think it's sort of like a tie between Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, but only because I'm a Nintendo fan. Well, honestly, I think there were a lot of flaws in each conference, and that's why I can't pick a clear winner here. I was super excited for some of the games that Sony showed off, and they showed off a lot of them in depth, or at least 4 of them in depth. I'm super excited for Smash Brothers. I'm glad that game got so much time at the Nintendo Direct conference.
Much time.
And I'm super impressed that Microsoft is making these moves, planning for the future by essentially absorbing all of these studios, making them first-party studios, and just planning for the future, planning to make Microsoft's game catalog much broader and actually have exclusives. Not to mention, they announced 50 games on stage, and I think that a lot of them look pretty good. I think that Microsoft really did what they had to do, but they're still in the same place. Coming into fall this year, they don't have any exclusives on their console except for Halo and Gears, and Crackdown got delayed. So and Sea of Thieves, of course, but Sea of Thieves sucks, so fuck that game. But so Microsoft
2 more content packs coming out for Sea of Thieves that might not make that game.
No, we joke about Sea of Thieves on this channel. It's probably going to be a good game in the end, but it's currently not that great of a game. So really, Microsoft has essentially told us a lot of things. There are a lot of games to play on the Xbox One, and Xbox One X, but there are no exclusives, so that's where they fell. They still don't have exclusives to release this year, and I honestly don't think they have many exclusives going into 2019 as well. So, or any that fit my fancy anyways. But on the Sony side of things, right, we had 4 amazing games. I think I'm obviously going to get all of them. I cannot wait to play these games. But on the downside of Sony's conference, they totally disrespected their audience in that they had to move them in between different segments of their thing. So
did they disrespect
I think that's a huge disrespect of our time. I agree. I think it's cool that they were trying to do something new, but I don't think it was executed very well. I think
that is correct.
Yeah,
I would address it in this way. So they had the Last of Us Part 2 theme section, because that was supposed to be the big part, and that part was actually pretty interesting. But then they pushed everybody, and in that interim they had that kind of talk show panel.
Yeah,
and I would have pushed that into, like, basically you could put somebody on stage or something and do the trailers package that they have.
Yeah.
Something like that then, that isn't so boring and long. And obviously you don't know how much time it's going to take, so you have different filler packages. And it just seemed, like you were saying, totally
wasted time almost.
A waste of time, yeah.
And okay, so but that being said, I think all 4 of those games look amazing. We're getting one of them this year in Spider-Man, and the rest, who knows really when we're going to get them. And then there was Nintendo. Nintendo, I think, has done a great job with their Nintendo Directs lately, and of course in the past. I think that they are really making moves in terms of how these press conferences go. I think that more companies should just shift over to the way Nintendo's doing it, so we can avoid like the EA conference, the Bethesda conference, all these awkward moments, the Sony conference where they're just like, we're sitting here for 15 minutes while they change things. So Nintendo can send their message out to people concisely and without the cringe and all this, there's cringe compilations of E3, right? So Nintendo avoids all of that, and they get to show off all of the things they want to show off in a really well-cut video. So I think Nintendo did a great job with their Nintendo Direct, but a lot of people I know are complaining about where's Metroid Prime 4, where's the new Pokemon game in 2019. I really think that they're focused on the games coming out this year and early 2019, and I think it's going to be a great year for Nintendo. I don't see why there was a problem there. People are saying Nintendo doesn't have as great of a lineup as last year. Okay, well, they released 2 of the greatest games ever made last year. One, and they have Smash coming out this year with a new Pokemon game, and people are completely reading the summer lineup, which is going to be an amazing there's so many great games coming out on the Switch that sure have come out in the past, but I mean, getting a game on the Switch and having that portability really reinvigorates you to play that game, I think. And I think people look over that quite often with the Nintendo Switch. But that's my opinion. I know a lot of people are somewhat disappointed with Nintendo, but they're also really happy that Super Smash Brothers looks so cool.
I just think they did have some Pokemon stuff. It was about like a minute and a half of Pokemon stuff. I do like the little Pokemon accessory that allows you...
I already pre-ordered it. I'm fucking in. I'm going in.
It's very Switch and Nintendo in terms of here's another accessory. I just thought that they could have done a little bit more for like new games rather than ports and stuff.
Well,
like you were saying was the major complaint. Yeah, 20 minutes on Smash is fine, I guess, because the people who are really into Smash are excited.
I think it looks really good, personally.
I do too, but for the people who aren't, like, tell me everything about Smash because I need to know like
Yeah,
what
you're right.
skills are available and things like that. It's less exciting. Like I
Exactly,
found
you're
myself
right.
kind of like skipping through a little bit, like 5 seconds ahead, just to
Yeah.
see. Okay, here's character they introduced. Here's what they're getting. Here's character and what they're getting.
Yeah.
It's cutting out all the middle chunks. Um, yeah, I think increasing the Switch's library is something that's important not only to the Switch but to Switch gamers in general, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool, but I would have liked to see more of the titles that we were expecting to kind of get a breakdown of or
Definitely.
a
Yeah.
visual of, and that would have improved that conference for me. Overall, I think the winner I think the winner
Was
of
EA.
E3 was technology inspired video games.
Yeah.
I think anything that had like super tech within it was really popular. But also Japan fared pretty well. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah. Neo 2 and
Neo 2.
Sakura. I don't know
Yeah.
the name. From Software's game.
So there are like 3 or 4 very well received games based on Japanese setting that I think
Yeah.
will be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, this is a setting. I'm sorry, you were gonna say something.
No, the guys who did Quantum Break are doing that game
Yeah,
Control. Remember
exactly
that I
right.
said looked like Quantum Break?
Yep. That they it must be running on a similar graphics engine or the same one, even though it was shown on Sony's stage, and I think Quantum Break was a Microsoft Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I was kind of angry about with Microsoft's conference was their use of just blatant disrespect of how everyone was angry at them for using the word exclusive. They've totally just disregarded any of the feedback they got from that and threw out that word. So even though it clearly is not, they don't understand what that word means at all, and so they've marked a lot of games as exclusive. That are clearly not going to be exclusive or at some point. So, and they basically just didn't change their wording up that much, and I don't understand why, but I don't know. Anyways,
Was it
yeah.
so bad that they needed to? Probably not. I think there were bigger things that we needed to address. I think in general, I would have liked to see a bit more Anthem. I think
there was
we had a
yeah.
good chunk of Anthem, but I'm super excited about that game, and when we have that game, I wanted to see more.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even. Was there Anthem presence on the Microsoft stage?
No.
Yeah. See, I would have liked to have it there, in addition to the EA stage.
Yeah, it was mostly just at EA, but I did like that they brought the developers out to talk about the game so we could get a much more in-depth look at the game. And Captain Vidia said he's pretty worried about Anthem. I think that the general consensus is not aligned with Captain Vidia, but this does not surprise me.
The general consensus is always like, this is going to be the greatest game
Yeah,
ever.
I
And
know.
then when it comes out, everybody's like, this fell
It's the
short
worst
of
game
our
ever.
expectations. So I agree with Captain Vidia. It does look that
Yeah, but
I'm
he said
worried
he actually
about
played
Anthem
the game
based on the
also.
fact that they didn't have more presence.
Yeah.
Like, they had a big presence, but I think, like, Skyrim Remake had more presence in the past 2 E3 conferences than Anthem has.
Yeah, I know there a lot of media outlets got to play the game as well, so there's a lot of behind doors footage and things like that and demo footage that was not on the EA press conference. But Captain Vidia actually got to play. I believe he told me that he got to play the game. Captain Vidia got to go to E3. Of course, it's open to the public, and
Nice.
yeah, so you had hands-on with the game, and it felt very dull and very similar to Destiny concepts. I definitely would agree that there's a strong correlation between Destiny and Anthem. Of course, you actually played the game, so I don't know. Who am I to say that you're wrong, you know? I think that Ivan would probably agree. There's some similarities between Anthem and Destiny.
I think it looks like it's going to be very much the same style of gameplay. I think if there's a little bit of tweaks to improve how it plays, that'll be better. But the main thing that I'm excited for in Anthem, like I am in for most BioWare games, is how do they integrate story with gameplay, and the ideas and the concepts they had for fleshing out your personal story within the greater scope of things had a lot of ambitious talk. I had a lot of like flat standard like our world, your story, kind of like whatever.
Well, it's an EA game, man.
Yeah.
What do you want?
But I hope that they can do it in a more intriguing fashion.
Yeah, and they don't have any plans with PvP, so that's a big drawback. I don't know if I didn't see any plans for PvP, so you're probably right. That would be a huge drawback for that game, I think. I
can't imagine that EA would allow that to go to publish without some plan for PvP.
You're right, yeah. They're very heavy on multiplayer games, EA is.
Right, so this is like co-op co-op PvE, and they'll have to build out some PvP stuff. But I hope that they do PvP stuff in a more intriguing way, more akin to like Overwatch style game, like game types, than just the team deathmatch, King of the Hill, whatever kind of style that Destiny has like said. This is what we're doing.
Okay, so we've talked about our overall feelings towards the conference. I think generally pretty mostly positive, but I feel like both of us are starting to expect more from E3 as it goes on as a expo. I think that these companies aren't necessarily learning from their past outings, and I think that that's a really bad thing, personally. Yeah.
I think last year was actually a pretty bad E3 to judge this E3 by, because last year's E3 was, I think, exceptionally good.
Yeah.
In comparison to a lot of things, except for Microsoft. I think Microsoft did better this year, even though they didn't have a high bar to go above on.
And Sorry.
Then again, they didn't have a console reveal this year. Just an idea that they're deep into the architecture of the new box.
And that's a really good point, because I mean these companies have to come here to show off to their shareholders and investors and of course the consumers that there's a reason why you want to keep playing PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch and all these games, right? It's a trade show. But the real thing is that they can't top themselves year after year. There's no way to actually do that. So I think I think there's no way to do that necessarily. And I think last year was particularly good, as you said. As specifically, I think Sony and Nintendo had pretty good E3s. But so the idea that they're going to continuously get better and better and better in terms of fan excitement, I think that's sort of like a gamer's dream that isn't actually true. I don't think it can possibly happen, but
the other side of that coin is that Sony's press conference last year was really cool. It integrated a lot of physical theatrical space with what they were talking about in their release schedule. And then we come to this year and they take it in a strange direction that doesn't really work out significantly well in terms of how it felt in terms of pacing and different things. Because you open up with your this is our showpiece, right? This is the Last of Us showpiece. And I wonder if they were going to have different pieces, but they didn't have time, or it didn't work out, the setup of them.
It's possible.
It's strange, right? Because they only were going to show 4 main titles.
Yeah.
But they only did that special space for The Last of Us Part 2.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, that's their biggest exclusive coming out, I would honestly say.
Not Death Stranding? Death
Stranding
has
I think
a lot of hype.
I know, but I think The Last of Us 2 has at least people understand what that game is.
Yeah.
um, I mean, I can't wait for Death Stranding. I'm more excited for Death Stranding, honestly, but only because I love Hideo Kojima. Do you want to? What do you want to talk about next, Yvonne? Do you want to discuss in depth each conference, or do you want to?
Yeah, we can go conference by
Okay,
conference.
so let's just go in chronological order. Then we can start with EA. Your typical stuff at EA. Hold on. Captain Video says during the Sony conference, people were mostly talking and not really paying attention. I think that's true because they had to move the entire audience between different stages. So I think the audience just sort of lost attention at that point. There's no central point of attention to their conference until so there's a lot of chatter going in between all the people at the conference. I think that's probably true. So EA, they obviously talked about their sports games. They're bringing back NBA Live 19. I think that's as good as as bad as NBA Live is. I'm glad that they're trying to contest with NBA 2K. But NBA Live will fail in comparison. Of course, there's FIFA 2019 and Madden 2019. Madden's back. But then again, I don't really care about these games. But these are the big sellers for EA, so I guess it makes sense to talk about it. But honestly, I don't think the average person that buys Madden or FIFA 19 is watching this conference. So I have to question why they even talk about it at all.
Right. I think the big fail of the EA conference was the Command and Conquer Rivals mobile game for about 10 minutes or whatever that was.
Yep. That was such a waste of my life.
Yeah, that was a waste of everybody's time. As kind of was the Respawn talk, like the talk with Respawn's Vince Zampella about the new Star Wars game that they're working on.
Right.
That's set between
that was strange.
Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. I mean, just because there's so little that's set, it's strange to be like, let's hype this up.
Right.
So I thought that was a little wonky. But what I did like, for instance, was that like the Battlefront 2 guys were like, hey, we made a mistake, and kind of like were able to joke about it with themselves, reveal the Clone Wars stuff coming up, and the I really liked Anthem and the Battlefield 5 Destructible Environment stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for those games. I'm excited to see how they do. At least I will. Obviously, I'm not gonna buy Battlefield 5 or Anthem day one. I'm typically a gamer that will pre-order something, but I don't necessarily trust that they'll be the best games. I actually trust that Battlefield 5 will be pretty good, given Battlefield 1's performance. But I thought that
with
EA
the Royale reimagined.
Gotta play Battle Royale. You know how it is. I also think that it's interesting that EA will has such an awkward presence at E3 in both literal sense and just in terms of the gaming ecosystem, because they have all these huge games, right? And they're giving these stage time to these weird like mobile games, and then they had that, like you were talking about, the Star Wars game that was technically revealed just by a guy talking to the mic, which was a weird way to reveal that game. But they also have they gave stage presence to these two sort of smaller titles in Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude. So I applaud them for that. I'm glad that they're trying to develop in a different direction instead of just their big forefront titles that sell millions of copies every year. I'm really glad that they gave stage time to a game like Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude, even if I'm not...
Major stage time for Unravel 2. They had like on-stage
and it's out
gameplay
already.
Of it. Yeah, I thought it was... yeah, it is a good sign. I also... I really enjoyed the nice German lady who came out for Sea of Solitude. She was so nervous. I was glad that she succeeded pretty well in getting her title across.
Yeah,
Everything's
I'm
about
glad.
loneliness these days, though.
Right. Those. I'm not saying I'm gonna get those games, but I'm glad that they exist. Especially coming from EA, who is just sort of craps out the same game every year, honestly, except for Battlefield 5 and Anthem. They go in. I think EA as a publisher of video games is they're trying to branch out and make a lot of money on one end, but also try to win over the fans, the hardcore gamers, affection in games like Anthem, Battlefield, and Unravel 2 and Sea of Solitude.
It's troublesome
Yeah.
because EA has this like split of games that I really enjoy from my history, and like Battlefield 1942, a bunch of BioWare games and different things. But on the other hand, it's EA, so it's also like the most money grubbing company in the world.
Yeah, it's like buying from Amazon. It's so easy, but it's Amazon. Come on, why are we supporting this company that's clearly trying to monopolize literally every consumer product?
Yes. So in
Yeah.
general, what would you rate the EA conference? High, low?
Yeah, definitely low. I think this might have been the worst conference at E3.
You do you not see Square Enix?
I didn't see Square Enix, but at least it was short. I'm just saying. It was like 30 minutes. But yeah, so we'll get to Square Enix. I didn't see it, but I know that honestly Square Enix could have just showed their games at other conferences, because that, or at least in my opinion, I think. In fact, they did with Kingdom Hearts 3 anyways. Okay, so I guess in chronological order, we move on to Microsoft, right?
Yep.
So we already talked a little bit about Microsoft, but this year Microsoft announced 50 games with 15 exclusive Xbox One Windows 10 titles, and announced that they had 5 studios that would be brought into the first-party wing, including Ninja Theory, Playground Games, Undead Labs, Compulsion Games, and a new studio called The Initiative. So I think that's, just on stats alone, that's pretty impressive. But as we dive a little deeper into the games, we'll see that of the 50 games, a lot of these games are also going to be pretty much everywhere else you would want to buy a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the interesting notes that they opened with Halo, they closed with Cyberpunk. I think those are pretty great titles to open and close with. They're ones that everyone was really anticipating. I think the surprising thing was that they announced Halo Infinite and showed the engine of the new Halo title, but that was pretty much it. But they did a more Gears, a larger presence for the Gears reveal,
Right.
which was pretty interesting. I also felt that this was Microsoft did well this year because they stole the thunder of a lot of other developers and people that we thought would get the stage presence. Like Sony was undercut, I think, a little bit by the reveals that were on the Microsoft stage, namely Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to estimate how much money Microsoft paid for these sort of first showings at E3. Of course, we knew Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out eventually, and obviously a lot of people are going to buy it on PlayStation 4 and wherever else it comes. I guess I don't think it's coming out on PC, come to think of it. But really, I think the big one that I think is a little underestimated here, of course, Kingdom Hearts 3, huge, was Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, from the Dark Souls developer FromSoft. I think them showing that at the Xbox stage, even though Sony seemed to have the not exclusivity rights, but sort of the mind share of that game would be primarily perform best or whatever, or advertised most on the PlayStation 4. I thought it was really surprising that this game was first shown off in terms of gameplay at the Microsoft conference. I'm excited for it, though.
Yeah, it was very, very, very surprising. I think that we were expecting this to be, the From Software games to be shown at Sony's conference, and they were here, and it looked pretty interesting. And that was kind of the story of the Microsoft conference. A lot of the titles that we thought would be revealed at other conferences took main stage presence. Fallout 76.
Sekiro and Kingdom Hearts 3. Captain Vidya says he's very excited for Halo to be on PC. Probably heard wrong then, I don't know. About what, Captain Vidya? I'm excited for Halo to be on PC as well, although it seems like Death Stranding is further along than this Halo Infinite, honestly. Which is surprising.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he's still working on the script for Death Stranding.
Definitely. But yeah, as we were saying, I feel like Microsoft sort of undercut the announcements of a lot of these, or not announcements, but the hype of a lot of these games going into E3. I mean, we knew Fallout 76 was announced before E3. Kingdom Hearts obviously has been in development for 15 years. And Sekiro Shadows Die Twice was teased at, I think, PSX as well of last year. So,
Right.
So they sort of, I mean, From Software doesn't have a conference, but let's talk about Bethesda, right? I mean, we were when we saw the Bethesda conference and they went in depth to talk about Fallout 76. Right, it was nice to learn about that game, and it's going to be an online game. We'll talk about it when we get to Bethesda. But it seemed like Microsoft sort of stole the thunder there, as you said, Ivan, in the reveal of this game. So it sort of dulled or dampened the discussion of Fallout 76 at Bethesda's conference because Microsoft showed a trailer.
Right, so and had a bit of discussion about it.
Right.
So I think in general that will hurt our ranking of something like Bethesda's conference, but it does give us a lot of points that we can give.
Yeah.
I don't know however to phrase it to the Microsoft conference. It was pretty good. I think the things that I was also impressed with is the coming up and joining the times with the expansion of the first party publishers and things like that, the 5 that you talked about earlier, and some interesting games that I'm looking forward to, namely Cyberpunk, but
of course,
at the same time, The Division 2, the trailer that they showed looked almost exactly like the trailer for Anthem. So that's kind of interesting. The one from last year, the E3 Anthem trailer from last year, where it's like the 4 players who are pretending to
similarly.
Play.
Voice actors, right?
Yes. But then you had Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which looked pretty interesting. It's definitely a game that I'll probably play.
Yep.
I'll get into. And I like that Jump Force was highlighted.
Definitely.
That was a really, really cool game. And I think that's going to be one of the games that everybody who's an anime fan or a fan of like Shonen Jump will get into.
Yeah, definitely. That game, I feel like that game is not going to be that great. I feel like it's going to be more like Dragon Ball Xenoverse, personally, but we'll see what that game turns out to be. We only saw a trailer. But of course, I think another big announcement was Devil May Cry 5 being announced at the Microsoft conference. I think that game is super sick. Of course, I think it looks super sick. Of course, the Captain Video says Battletoads is coming out. They're making a sequel or whatever it is. Super hype. Let's go. And then there's a Cuphead expansion, which I honestly didn't expect, but Cuphead must have sold well enough for Microsoft to to have them develop, the developers of the game develop
and Girl
more
Cup.
of it. Yeah, Girl Cup. Finally, you can play as a girl in Cuphead. Come on. But Ivan, what did you think about the Gears 5 reveal? With Gears Pop and Gears Tactics.
I have never played any of the Gears games, so Gears 4 will be my first foray. Okay. I'm excited for that.
It's fun.
I think that it looks exactly like Gears, the last Gears game did.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how much like graphics or other things will be improved. Gears are always fun to play games that a lot of people enjoy, so I think it's going to be a positive in this respect. But what I was interested in, actually piqued my interest, was the Gears Tactics review.
Right.
So I'm excited for the XCOM like turn-based strategy game that Gears Tactics will be.
Right, of course, Captain Vidia says that Gears 5 is going to be a sequel to Gears 4. This is, I think no one had any doubt in their mind that Gears 5 would continue the story after the ending of Gears 4. So I think that's obviously true. And I'm excited for the Gears Tactics game. I think that's right up your alley, Ivan. Of course, you like XCOM. And I think Gears of War sort of being a tactical... I think it lends itself well, the world of Gears of War and how you move throughout and the combat in that game sort of lends itself well because there's a lot of cover. The way levels are designed in that game is there's a lot of cover to move between, so I think that lends itself very well to XCOM type games.
I just want more XCOM type games. I want really high quality games of that style.
Well, here you go.
And if they need to bounce off of other franchises to create them, then I'd be happy to. So yeah. I'm tired of playing XCOM 2 at this point.
The only reason I'm disappointed in this announcement is because it wasn't Halo 6, or it wasn't. This game seems much further along than Halo Infinite. Very disappointed in that. I thought that Microsoft would really push for Halo 6 or whatever Halo Infinite is going to be. We don't necessarily know what Halo Infinite is.
It's Halo Battle Royale.
It probably could be at this rate. So I would be really sad if that's how it was, but we'll see. The surprise
game for me of this Microsoft conference, though, wasn't Halo.
What was it?
It was Dying Light 2, which actually looked like a really cool game.
Yeah, there's a lot more... there's a lot more... I'm trying to fix your chroma key. There's a lot more... What am I trying to say? Decision-based gameplay in that game. So a lot of the ways in which you make decisions to kill people in that game will totally affect the outcome of the world that you're in. So I think that the E3 trailer pretty much summed it up pretty well, so I won't go into it. But I think that's a really interesting game mechanic, and I'm excited for people to play that. I didn't necessarily play... I watched someone play the first Dying Light. It didn't seem like it was for me, but I'm happy for other people. Halo Battle Royale with 100 Master Chiefs. It would be OP. That would be the best.
Look like Storm right now.
Yeah,
or Raiden.
I know. That's so cool. I'm going to fix that, I swear. Next up, we have, unless you have any other closing comments on Microsoft.
Oh, God. I have to get back. I don't.
Okay.
We're going to tally our points up at the end, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
How
Microsoft is done. The
Bethesda?
next E3, Bethesda.
Yvonne, what are your initial thoughts on Andrew WK's performance at E3?
I didn't watch it.
We were playing Overwatch while watching this. Oh, that's
yeah.
It
was fine.
The performance was fine, but I don't think it fit in this conference at all. It didn't really make any sense.
Well, Rage 2.
I
Rage
guess.
2 looks exactly like any other kind of game that's in its style.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it is. I'll watch some game Let's Players play it before I consider buying it, but probably it's going to be a pass. The other stuff that was in there, the only thing that I would focus on is Elder Scrolls 6, the Starfield trailer. And what's it called? The thing that I like, Fallout 76.
Yeah.
More conversation about it.
Well, I think so the way I think about Bethesda, I didn't really necessarily like this conference at all, but I really like Bethesda as a game developer in that they are always they make all these games that a lot of people like, and then they continue to build upon them Sorry about the background noise there. They continue to build upon them in that they're still releasing DLC for Prey. They're still releasing DLC for Wolfenstein, a game that's almost 2 years old now. These games. I think Bethesda has the consumer in mind in terms of game. I mean, I guess you would disagree in terms of just Skyrim alone, right? But I think they like to make their games as fleshed out as possible, and I really applaud them for that. Whether or not you like their games is a different story, of course. Not all these games are for each other.
I just don't like the building coming into Fallout. I don't need this.
Right, of course. That we can discuss. I guess we'll just jump into Fallout 76. They talked a lot about a Fallout 76. It's going to be a multiplayer Fallout game. The first time Fallout's ever been multiplayer online. I think they had 4 people on one. I think there's up to 16 people on one server in one lobby, I guess. So and you can team up with people and build your own Fallout thing or whatever it is, your fortress or whatever it is, right? So, and you can go raid
your forward
people.
Base of operations.
Yeah, and you can go raid people and try to raid people, but I think the most important thing is that they said that this game could also be played just single player, not necessarily offline, but without other players being able to intrude on your gameplay experience. So I think that's a good move. I don't know what I don't know what they would do after Fallout 4 in terms of expanding on the Fallout universe, but that's not my job. That's Todd Howard's job, right? So honestly, it seemed to me like a lot of Bethesda's conference could have just been at another conference.
And it kind of was.
Yeah, it was,
Fallout
right?
76 kind of was just at the Microsoft conference.
And then, so what, the reason I say that is because sort of at the end of the conference, they tacked on two new games, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a next-gen game, and I believe Starfield might as well be, too. The Starfield is very far off, and then they said that we're also planning on the games after Starfield, and then they had that little just logo show up for Elder Scrolls 6. So
right.
These 2 games are obviously very anticipated, but we don't learn anything about them. So why even announce this? It's like they tacked it on there
because there are no rules at E3, Julian.
True. They tacked it on there.
It should be no more than 1 year from the time that you present it. It will be released. That should be the E3 rule.
In Captain Vidia's very honest opinion, Bethesda didn't have any games worth hyping. I would honestly, I'm pretty much in that boat. I like Fallout. I liked Fallout 4.
You don't want mobile games?
I don't want mobile games because that's what they talked about also. Almost every conference talked about some sort of... They had a phone, even Nintendo, of course. They had a phone game integration in some way because Pokemon Go can integrate with the new Pokemon game that's coming out this year. Who knows about next year? But... And I think Microsoft even, they must have had some sort of mobile integration somewhere. But yeah, it seems like the mobile games are encroaching on us hardcore gamers' lifestyles. I don't like that at all. But Elder Scrolls Blades, man, download it now for free. I don't know if it's downloaded
Not
now.
yet, no.
Yeah,
no, it's going to be on the fall.
Who cares?
It'll be free.
I hate these mobile games.
Let's announce it. Okay, I think middle of the road from Bethesda.
Yeah. I think that Bethesda felt pressured to have a conference this year because they had one for the past 2 years in a row. I don't think they needed to have one. I think they should just have a conference when they want to announce a lot of games. I think they've had good conferences in the past. I thought it was really great the year that they announced Fallout 4 and then released it in the same year. I thought that was a really cool move and got a lot of people hyped for the game. So
and we're like, boom, Fallout Shelter,
and yeah,
which was a
and
fun
you can
game,
play Fallout
actually.
Shelter. Yeah, exactly. So that was super cool. But this year, I don't think it was absolutely necessary. But anyways, moving on, we have the Ubisoft conference. I didn't see. Did you see it?
No.
I guess we can look through it, though, because there are a lot of huge games that Ubisoft releases. They obviously had Just Dance 2019. The Division 2 was shown off at Microsoft's conference, but now has more raids. Captain Video is very excited for this game. Are you excited for Division 2, Yvonne?
No.
No, Yvonne is not excited.
I didn't play the first one. It didn't look good. If the Division 2 looks better than the first one, then I might be interested. But the Division was pretty bad.
Well, I think a lot of people would disagree with you there. I think the Division 2, the original Division, as it got built upon, became a really great game, and a lot of people love that game. I personally don't want to invest in these types of games anymore after Destiny. I've sort of been burned by Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. I played a crap ton of Destiny 1, and Destiny 2 is sort of really pissing me off right now, so I'm not going to get this game. I'm happy for people that like to play these games. They're fixing things that people hit in Division 1 of on. Would you at least give it a chance, man?
I'll watch it. I said I'd watch it before I did anything. I probably won't get it, but I'll watch it first. The things that I saw in the Division 1, there was that initial wave of the Dark Zones don't function in a proper way. And then later, some of that stuff got fixed, but the overall experience was still broken enough that it didn't work as a fully functioning game in the gameplay style that I would want it to. So that's why I said I thought it was bad. So, in other words, if they fix a lot of the things to make gameplay smoother, more viable for how I would like to play a game like The Division, then I would be more intrigued to play it.
Yeah.
But that would require me being able to see it.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of people will obviously be streaming The Division 2. I know Captain Video will obviously be playing Division 2. I'm just saying, if I think Division 2 has a lot to learn from Destiny 2 in the trials and tribulations that game has gone through. I'm really angry that Destiny 2 is literally going through the same exact cycle as Destiny 1. Did they not learn anything from that? Destiny 1 sort of released in a sort of half-assed way, and then got 2 expansions that you had to pay for. And then it got good when the Taken King came out, the huge expansion the next year, which you had to pay for again. And then Destiny 1 was fine after that. Destiny 2 literally doing the same exact thing, and I can't stand behind that model. I just can't do it anymore. Anyways, I hope the Division 2 is a great game. Skull and Bones got delayed, I believe, and then they didn't announce the delay at E3, but there's going to be an open beta. This is going to be your ship warfare game. Guess that's exciting. I don't care about that game. For Honor, still getting supported, gonna have a Marching Fire expansion, which will reveal the new Chinese faction of 4 characters. Should we get back into For Honor, Ivan?
Maybe? It was fun, that free demo weekend.
Yeah,
it was one of our
fun.
earliest Let's Plays.
Yep. There's a new video game they announced called Starlink Battle for Atlas. It's going to be a space fighter game. It's going to have Star Fox tie-in, which is pretty cool. I think that Ubisoft and Nintendo are playing really nicely nowadays, in that Mario vs. Rabbids came out, and then now Star Fox has a tie-in into their new game in the Nintendo Switch version, of course, so that's exciting. Then there's Trials Rising. They had this weird intro that I saw a meme of. This guy wrote, you know the Trials games, right, Ivan? We played the crap out of those in college. I think that's exciting. They're fun games. They had this guy in what's the guy who did jumps on motorcycles over like canyons and shit, and exploding things. Evil Knievel? Yeah, that's his name. They had a guy dressed up like him rolling through the with a motorcycle, and he had Trials on his back, and that's how they announced the game. Anyway, worth watching that intro to the game.
All right.
But so that's exciting. New Trials are very cool. That's one of the few games I like from Ubisoft, honestly. Mario vs. Rabbids DLC, Donkey Kong Adventure, woohoo! More Mario vs. Rabbids. Those are games that you would like, Ivan. Of course, because of the XCOM-like gameplay. Transference, no longer just a VR-only horror game. And The Crew 2 open beta details. That's what we got. Very exciting from Ubisoft.
What about Beyond Good and Evil 2?
I know. There's
with Joseph
and yeah, I was gonna. Those were the games that no one really cares about. The two huge games that Ubisoft announced, or not announced, talked about was more Beyond Good and Evil 2, featuring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who will not ruin this game. I love that guy. He's a really hip, cool kid that grew up into becoming a movie star. So yeah, that's exciting. I didn't see the trailer. I didn't play the first game. But people are excited for this. I feel like it's going to let a lot of people down because we've only seen CG trailers, I believe, of this game. I'm not sure if they showed any gameplay this year. Do you know?
They had I'm looking at the trailer now. It looks cinematic. I don't think I've seen gameplay.
Oh, what a surprise. Captain Video doesn't like another game. He liked the Trials conference more than the game. Well, Captain
Trials
Video,
is a fun game.
I think
Trials is a fun, no-nonsense physics game.
I just make fun of Captain Video because he literally says he likes Division and Tomb Raider. Those are only games he likes. Literally, that's it. But Beyond... I'm just kidding, man. You can like whatever games you like. Captain Video, you're the best. Thanks for stopping by anyways. For all the time that you spent watching our streams. Thank you so much. Assassin's Creed Odyssey also was leaked, but officially announced by Ubisoft. And it's going to set in ancient Greece.
That they're predating Origins now?
Are they?
Yeah, it takes place hundreds of years before Origins.
Oh, shit. Okay, well...
So if they're predating Origins, then why make Origins at all?
Because that game had a cool mode for teachers, actually, that was free, I think, where you could explore ancient tombs that they recreated in the game engine. But that's the only reason.
It's about the setting, so...
Well,
it's literally just about the setting.
You played the Assassin's Creed game, right? Does the story matter at all at this point?
After the Ezio trilogy, no.
So then, there you go. There's your answer. They're exciting games to play for some people. I don't care for Assassin's Creed. All right, that's about it for Ubisoft.
Did we skip over Square Enix?
We can if you want, because we're going a little long, I think. Yeah, we're an hour.
We would have had to do Square Enix before Ubisoft.
Oh, okay,
they didn't really do anything. They showed
Kingdom Hearts,
Shadow of the Tomb Raider stuff.
Final Fantasy 14.
It's a very stealth-oriented game.
Captain Video says he'll still get it because it's Assassin's Creed. No, those games are really exciting to play. I
still haven't touched Origins.
I guess the biggest thing... Well, not really. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a huge thing for Square Enix to talk about. I think the biggest thing, though, for JRPG fans is Dragon Quest XI being talked about. And, of course, Octopath Traveler. But that game's coming out in a month. So, Babylon's Fall also, I guess that was supposed to be
That's the
Platinum
game that I
Games,
think
yeah.
I'm most intrigued in, and to see how it develops over the course of time. That's the
Yeah.
one I want to talk about, because that's the one that's
Sure.
developed by Platinum,
Right, Platinum is
which
awesome.
is a very good studio.
Actually, honestly, they're like hit or miss. They've made a lot of games. So if you look at their games, I know they're known for doing high, like a lot of action games. Like if you've played the Bayonetta series, Captain Vidia, they made those games, and they're really good at that type of combat in video games and making super over the top action type games. I'm not saying Babylon's Fall is going to be a bad game by any means, but they've also been part of some lackluster games. Not to say that they're a bad studio or anything.
But their recent track record is pretty
Definitely,
good.
yeah, they're doing pretty well now.
And then Bayonetta.
Right. I'm super excited. I want to learn more about this game. You stayed for Tomb Raider and then left the conference. Square Enix only best game is Tomb Raider, according to Captain Vidia.
Fair enough.
Honestly, I don't care about Final Fantasy 14, but a lot of people do, as they're releasing more content for it. So it's an MMO. What do you want? That's exciting. So that's it for Square Enix. We have Sony and Nintendo to get through, so we'll move a little faster. What do you think about the game announcements here?
The game stuff at Sony, I think, was probably one of the stronger lineups.
Yeah.
It wasn't overly saturated like I felt Nintendo's was with remakes. It wasn't overly saturated with exclusive,
Even though
Microsoft was. I think it did a lot to show off the kinds of things that they're going to look at. You got the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Kingdom Hearts. You got Control, which is the new game that looked interesting. You had the Resident Evil 2 remaster announcement. And then the things that everyone was... and Neo 2 was a surprise announcement.
Yeah.
And then the games that everyone was expecting to see, and they hit really well.
Right.
So in terms of the games, I think Sony did really, really well.
Right. And also, not to mention, surprise, surprise, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is coming to PS Plus for free this month. So I guess... True. I don't know if you have it, but you should download it. If you want to play that.
I should actually get on that right now.
But anyways, I agree. I think Sony, in terms of the game, I think they understand messaging when it comes to showing off video games. I think they have almost mastered that art. I think they, at E3 anyways, in their press conferences, they know what people want to see, and they give it. They totally delivered 4 times this conference with 4 huge games. I think Ghost of Tsushima looks so cool, personally, and The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding.
It's absolutely right up your alley. I
Very
think
exciting.
The one mistake is that Ghost of Tsushima and Neo 2 are announced in the same conference.
Yeah.
Not that they're the same game, but they're very similar.
Yeah, or at least in setting, they're almost exactly similar. But yeah, I think they have this... what is it called? This partnership with Bungie and Activision, so they get exclusive stuff for Destiny 2, so they had to show Destiny 2 off there. Sure, whatever, it's going to be the greatest expansion ever, but I'm pissed off that I have to pay $70 or whatever it is for it. But yeah, I think Sony does a really great balancing of these huge titles that you really want to play that are also very artistic in ways in terms and are pushing games forward as a medium. I think Sony does that really well, and they also balance that with some smaller games, and so they're carrying a lot of first party games and indie type games and smaller games as well. So I think that's really exciting. I love my PlayStation 4. Even though it's getting a little old, I'm super excited to play these 4 games, and I think they're really pushing the system to its limits. So that's really great.
Yeah, I think that the Last of Us Part 2 looks brilliant, like all Naughty Dog games. So it's pushing the envelope on the graphics.
Yeah.
and it's also supplying a pretty quality gameplay. I
Yep.
think Spider-Man is a popcorn game with lots of exciting gameplay because it's the melding of the right studio for the right kind of game.
Definitely.
The studio that made
Sucker Punch.
the
The infamous games.
yeah, so they're all about movement and interesting
Uh-huh.
applications of different kinds of like elemental damage and stuff,
Yeah.
which I think is right up Spider-Man's alley. And we saw from the trailer that or the gameplay footage from Spider-Man, it's just like, just give me this game, let me play it so that I can feel what Spider-Man feels like to play.
Well, the game is coming out in September, so that's exciting.
Exactly.
And Ghost of Tsushima, Sony Santa Monica, I believe. They've been sitting on this game for a long time, so it's been in development forever. So that's exciting. That it's going to be fully developed and finally released. I'm excited for that. And then Death Stranding, who knows? Interesting that it's just a game about accurate accurate portrayal of the size of the size that your bag should be based on how much game in games you pick up everything.
Right.
It's the actual size of your bag would have to be to fit all the things that you carry in Fallout.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's no more infinite bag of holding. It's,
Well, it is
I'm
infinite.
carrying a person from place to place.
Yeah.
So I have a person wrapped package on my back.
And of course there's the weird babies and shit. So that
Spider-Man
game's amazing.
combat is fluid and smooth. That's what we're looking for this Spider-Man game.
Yeah, super exciting. Can't wait to play those games. That's all I have to say about Sony. I guess we'll move on to Nintendo to cap it off, and then we'll talk about it.
Insomniac is making that Spider-Man game. Insomniac Games.
It's not
made,
Sucker Punch?
No, Sucker Punch is making.
Ghost of Tsushima. No,
Yeah.
are they? I totally mixed everything up. Sorry about
Sucker
that.
Punch is making Ghost of Tsushima.
Sorry about
Insomniac is
that.
making the Spider-Man game, and they did Sunset Overdrive, which is very reminiscent in terms of Sunset Overdrive
Yeah,
was
right.
a game
Okay.
based completely on movement mechanics.
Completely wrong.
And so that's how it tied in. That's what I wanted to get to.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that mix-up, guys. That was my fault. I
It
think.
damn well was.
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you. Let's talk about Nintendo, Yvonne.
And everyone wants to hear about Nintendo from me,
Yes.
the Nintendo guy. So
Tell
what
us
I was
about it.
looking forward to was Hollow Knight. It's the only game that I was looking forward to, other than,
It's available
of course,
now.
Fortnite coming to
Also
Switch.
available
That's
now.
the game everyone wants to play.
Yeah.
The most streamed game. We can stop it right there. Fortnite coming to Switch.
Hey, it's a big move.
We're good.
That Nintendo got it on their system before Fortnite craze has died out. So that's exciting for people, who may or may not. Nintendo Switch may be their only console, and they've been playing Fortnite on their phone. It's a really good alternative for people to finally get a tactile way of controlling the game. So that's good for them. I don't care about Fortnite. I think the reveal of Damon X Machina was really interesting to start off the conference. Totally a game out of left field that no one heard about ever. It's a new game. Looks like super sick Gundams fighting shit
like
with a lot of
Zoids.
or Zoids, which I feel like are similar to Gundams in that. Well, if Gundams were dogs or lions, then they would be Zoids.
It's
I love that
basically
show.
part of the mecha anime universe, which is my wheelhouse.
Jam. Yeah, so I feel like this would be right up your alley, as well as XCOM games, XCOM type games. I was a little disappointed that Fire Emblem Three Houses got pushed back to 2019. I was actually looking super forward to that game coming out this year, but fine, whatever. I think that they're finally, they've released a lot of Fire Emblem games in the past for 3DS, and I think this game it looks like from the trailer they're sort of making some huge changes to the combat and the way the game plays. So I've yet to see. Obviously, you don't get anything from these trailers really, but they make the game look cool. So I'm excited for this game. I love Fire Emblem. And the game, the other turn-based strategy game that Nintendo has is Advance Wars. I love that game more, honestly, but Fire Emblem is the popular one, so they keep making them. I'm excited. And then there was a little bit about Project Octopath Traveler announcing the new demo. Super exciting. They got Dragon Ball Fighters on the Nintendo Switch too, Yvonne. That's big news for anyone who wants to play that game that only has a Nintendo Switch. That's good.
Yeah.
They're continuing support for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is huge. That game was pretty popular. I think it sold over 1 million copies. For a JRPG on a system that only had a couple million units out there, that's a pretty huge sales number for that game. So they're getting DLC. They talked a little bit about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and then they talked about Super Mario Party. Totally new announcement here. Yvonne,
that's one I'm super excited for.
Tell us about it.
I said that once they came out with this with the Mario Party game, that's when I get the Switch.
Well, it's coming out in October. I think you should wait until Black Friday, but you might get a good deal there, plus a free game.
We could put them together and play them on the multiple Switches.
Right. This, I think, Captain Vidya says more Pokemon Go. Of course, Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee are sort of the entryway from Pokemon Go players to playing the real RPG. And I think it's a good bridging point. I want the one that's coming out in 2019. That's going to be a real core game, but I'm super excited for this game. I can't wait. But I'm excited about this Mario Party game. It looks like it's going to obviously it makes a lot of changes. I like that they named it Super Mario Party instead of Mario Party 11. Mario Party 10 was hot trash, and I believe 9 and 8 and 6 were also hot trash. So this game is totally separating itself from the numbering scheme, and I think that's really exciting. I saw a gameplay demo of it. It looks like they're integrating way more strategy into the sort of board game mechanics that it has. So I think that's really cool, and I'm excited. A lot of the mini games looked really exciting as well. So I love Mario Party. And you can play it online, and there's leaderboards. So that's a huge addition as well. I don't think any Mario Party game has had that ever. So that's big.
At me, Mario Party.
I'm going to be the top of the leaderboards. Let's go. And then, of course, Nintendo devoted 25 minutes, I believe, to the Smash Bros. Ultimate reveal.
Did they?
I think it was at least 20 minutes.
I didn't really pay attention. Didn't really see that.
I paid attention the whole time, Yvonne. I was super excited. The only thing I'm disappointed about is it's coming out in December instead of September. Come on, Nintendo. God damn it. I think this game looks super exciting. They're literally bringing back every single character. So this is going to be a fighting game with over 64 characters. Snake is back, as well as the beloved Ice Climbers. Let's go. I'm excited. And Pichu. And a fan favorite, or fan requested, Ridley going to be in the game as well. Very excited for that. I know a lot of people thought it would never happen, but Sakurai is really ready to retire, man. This guy wants to stop making these games. He always says after he releases a Smash game that this is his last one.
By the way, winner of E3 was that guy because his shirt was so crisp.
Sakurai?
Oh my god.
That guy, he always looks good. I love that guy, man. He's the best. He's given me my best memories in my life. I love Super Smash Brothers. And playing. That game is so much fun. Oh, man. And I think it's really cool. They went in depth to talk about some of the sort of more advanced gameplay type things in the game, like rolling too many times in a row is going to add a couple more frames to your recovery, which is in terms of you roll and then there's a period of time where you can't act. So that's going to increase. So if you keep rolling, you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to become more and more vulnerable. So that's really cool. So I think this game...
Do you think that increases or decreases skill?
I think that will increase the amount of offense that is required to be good at this game. So the game is going to be more heavily favored in terms of your offensive play than your defensive play. I think.
Hello, Street Fighter 5.
That's not necessarily bad. I think that makes the game really more exciting to watch and play as well. It'll reward you for going for a more risky move. I think that's pretty cool. But I also like that they're increasing the amount of damage that you take when it's just 1v1. So the game will you'll get KOs more faster than in Smash for Wii U, which I think was a typical problem that a lot of people had with Smash for Wii U. It was just you kept on living forever. You could never get any kills. So as a consequence, the tournament stock limit was 2 stocks instead of 4 stocks like Melee.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, but that's something
no
we'll
idea.
talk about later in our EVO Bootcamp series. This week we're going to be talking about Melee, but that's our video that will come out on Friday. So stay tuned for that.
17 years in the making.
Yes, I can't fucking wait. I love it. Yeah, so Ivan,
Yo.
we've gone through all the conferences. We've talked forever. Oh, wait, we didn't say Killer Queen Black also coming to the Switch. That's supposed to be... And Overcooked 2. You can pre-order Overcooked 2 now, which I've already done.
That's a game that I'm excited
Overcooked 2 is going to have online play now, finally. So Ivan and I hopefully will do a Let's Play of that, I think. I'll get it on PS4 or PC as well. But Killer Queen Black is supposed to be a really cool arcade game that is 5v5 in arcades, which is kind of crazy. So I if you're ever around an arcade, keep an eye out for Killer Queen, the game. Well, so Captain Vidya, you specifically, you have access to the Galloping Ghost arcade. Sorry for the sirens in the background. That's on the podcast. If you're listening to this on your while driving, those are not real sirens. So Killer Queen Black coming to Switch. They're changing it from 5v5 to 4v4, I think. So I think that's a pretty cool addition to the Switch lineup. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's about it. How do you want to rank them, Ivan?
In terms of conferences?
Yeah. Do you want to do that, or we can just leave our opinions out there?
Yeah, we could do that real quick. Let me bring up the E3 schedule again.
Schedule.
Let's see. What do you have for number 1?
Okay, I would say I was most hyped at the Sony conference. So I would say Sony number 1 because of Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us and
despite the
Death
moving
Stranding.
of people.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
the
like
filler
that.
Stuff.
I didn't like that at all, but I liked the reveal of Ghost of Tsushima so much that I kind of have to give it to them.
I think for me it's a tie between Microsoft and Sony. I thought Sony had the better games to talk about for the most part, but their conference presentation was worse. I think Microsoft
definitely
had too much bullshit, but a few really good titles and a few big surprises.
Definitely.
So I think that Microsoft pulled up and Sony sank down. I would rank Microsoft might even be a little bit ahead of Sony this year at the conferences, but they're a close 1-2.
Definitely.
1A, 1B, I would say. 1A being Microsoft, 1B being Sony.
My number 2, I gotta give it to Nintendo because I'm super excited for Smash Bros. And I really like that Nintendo. I think Nintendo has transcended E3. They're just so beyond it. They can control their messaging with the Nintendo Directs, and I really think they do it efficiently. So I think that Nintendo is number 2 there in terms of just awesomeness. I like them a lot.
Yes. I think Nintendo is kind of slotting into 2, I guess, for me, or 3 if I have 1A, 1B. So Nintendo slots in after that. And after that, it's kind of a jumbled mess. Yeah. I think EA gets some big kudos this year for talking about Anthem and having that sit down with the Anthem
I think
developers.
that was great.
which I think is pretty interesting. And then everybody else can just kind of fall into a pack behind them that didn't matter.
So I say Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. I think I really honestly didn't like the EA conference. I think the only thing of note was the Anthem discussion there. And then, so I would put them below Bethesda in there. And I would say Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, Bethesda, and then I didn't see the Ubisoft or Square Enix conference, so I guess I can't really rank them. But in terms of presentations, that's how I would do it. Tell us in the comment section below what you guys thought. Ivan, we're going to an hour and a half, so I don't want to waste too much more time talking about E3. We're excited for games to come out. But are you excited for any games coming out within the next are you going to be playing any games on your stream or anything like that? Upcoming?
So I'll go through
months?
A bunch of them in the upcoming months. I think a lot of the games that we talked about today, I already said this is what I was going to play. So I don't want to super drag it out either.
Okay.
I think that there's all of the games that I said, oh yeah, that's really interesting. I might want to play that. I want to play those. Namely, I really want to play Mario Tennis and Super Mario Party.
Yeah,
so expect that visit, Julien.
Yes, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Mario Tennis. That's coming out this week, as it's Sunday. It's the first day of the week. It's coming out on Friday. I'll be streaming it then. Definitely keep it locked to Jujubee's Good Twitch channel. But Ivan, we end our podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, can send in your music to me, Julien, or to Ivan at gaminghungover@gmail.com, and we'll play at the end of the podcast for you. Of course, if that doesn't happen, as is so often usual, I get to pick one, and I've been playing a lot of Octopath Traveler, so we're going to be playing Project Octopath Traveler Demo OST Battle Theme. Hope you guys enjoy the song. I won't play it for the Twitch chat because I still haven't figured that out in terms of audio. Sorry about that, guys. But hey, Brooke. No, sorry, that's Conrad Boyer. Sorry. Brooke's name is usually green, and I looked over here where I can't read the names. I just anyways, Conrad Boyer.
Too excited.
Telling me I was super excited for I read the Overcooked Best Drunk game, and I was very excited that is so true. I love that game. But Worms is probably first in case of that. But anyways, enjoy the song, guys. I'm Julien.
I'm Ivan. Thank you so much.
See you guys. Bye.